Good afternoon. First, I wanted to thank Jeff Canada. Jeff, you have inspired us all. You have taught me about excellence and being committed to this work. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that commitment and what I've learned from watching the folks at the Harlem Children's Zone. But I also want to thank Blue Meridian and the Balmer Group for investing the capital that's needed to do this work. You see us, and you invest in us, and so I wanted to thank you for that. You know, it's few places that I go these days where I feel like I'm at home. This is one of those places. I grew up with you all. I've been doing this work for more than 20 years. And I'm grateful to see how this work has evolved. This is a sophisticated network. This is a sophisticated network. So what I hope to share with you today are things that I think are necessary for us to move forward. And the first is to reflect back on what Jeff called us to last night. If you are not committed to this work, you should probably leave now. This is the work I'm going to do until I take my last breath. And there is a clarity that comes from that certainty that I'm not chasing another job, I'm not chasing more money, I'm chasing results. No matter how good we are, and we are good, there's still 11 million children plus who are in poverty in this nation. And so I want you to continue to think about what is your number of that million that is the charge for the Julius Wilson Center. And I was listening to the young people that were up here. I was actually getting angry. I was getting angry because place is a hostile place. Place has opportunity too random in America. Still too random. Place undercuts all of your good work right now. And I really want you to think about that. All the good work you're doing right now is being undercut by a housing economy that doesn't work. By over-policing, by fines and fees, by lead-based paint, by toxic water, toxic environments, people having to work 2 jobs and still live in poverty, the majority of zip codes in America being unaffordable. Charity will not liberate us from that. But charity is needed. The work that we're doing to build this cradle-to-career infrastructure is absolutely needed. That is the evolution. That's the innovation. Not one-off programs anymore. They have their place, but that's not why we're in this room. We're in this room because that cradle-to-career infrastructure is the ultimate pathway out of poverty for millions of children. And so I want you to make sure that you're building that pipeline. Not just using the words, but that you built that supply chain so that millions of children actually have an articulated way out of poverty. Now, here's what I would say. In addition to building that pipeline, we have to use our voice to tend to the design of this nation. It was not designed for us. It was not designed for us, and if we just do the cradle-to-career work, we will never achieve our outcomes. You got to just accept that. We have to hold the complexity of building cradle-to-career infrastructure and at the same time tending to the design challenges of this nation. That's the gift and the burden for our generation. So what does that mean? It means that in a moment where folks are clearly expressing a desire to have an America that doesn't include me, we can no longer be silent. Our job is to no longer clean up the shit that people dump on us in our communities. It's not. And so in this moment, you all have to decide, will you fight in this moment? Not in a way that makes your heart cold, but in a way that manifests the love that is inside you. A love that is enduring, a love that says you have every single right to express a different vision for America and to fight for it an America that includes every one of us, especially those of us who have been left behind. And so while we do cradle to career work, we've got to do the policy work. You see in COVID with the stroke of the pen, the president lifted millions of children out of poverty with the stroke of the pen. That would be our million right there, folks. That would be our million right there. And then our cradle to career infrastructure would just sustain it so we wouldn't roll back. If you are afraid to advocate right now, to deal with the design of systems in your community that are oppressive, you should just accept the fact that you will not get results commensurate with the scale of the problem. And you should stop writing it in your grant proposals because you're lying. You should just stop. It's not a game anymore, folks. We know how to do good work. And what I need you to think about now is how do you stack on top of this good work the liberatory work of releasing this nation from the binds of oppression. I could give you a laundry list of policies that we can implement, but you all know those policies. You can read a report called End Poverty Now by the Urban Institute and the Children's Defense Fund. It was done about 7 years ago. It gives you about 70 policies that would end poverty, cut it in half. We still haven't done that work. We see cash transfers and guaranteed income projects all around this country that are showing that they work. In an inefficient system, give people the money. In an inefficient system, in a system that is still hostile to the very children and families that you're serving, give people the money. They'll find their own way. All of this nonprofit infrastructure isn't needed. It's just not, most of it ain't even delivering. Most of it is not delivering. Because most of the folks who are working in those positions do not love our people enough to fight for them. And what I'm asking you to consider right now is that the policy solutions won't happen if you don't want to fight for them. You know, Jeff's charge is a real charge. Increasing the earned income tax credit is something we could do. Increasing the child care tax credit is something we could do. Expanding these guaranteed income pilots is something we can do. But you've got to be willing to say race. You've got to be willing to say black people. You've got to be willing to say poor whites, poor Asians, poor Latinos. You can't get those policies when you deny your own people. You can't get them. Right now, many of you all are sitting there mad because reproductive rights have been rolled back. Many of you are sitting there mad because voting rights have been rolled back. When you've been afraid. How many of you all have been in rooms where people say, oh, we don't do advocacy? We don't do advocacy. We talked about race last year. Don't say equity. This is what it looks like when you don't say those things. That's why I'm pissed off. Because the same people who are shocked today are the same people over my 20-plus year career who have sat in rooms and said, we will not fight. We will not advocate. We will not say black people. God forbid we say racism. And now you're shocked. Now you're shocked. That's why I'm angry, because those two kids up here are still anomalies. They're outliers. They are outliers, and they should be the norm. I know they are the norm in our community because I know that brilliance exists in all of our children. But the pathway out is fraught, and it won't change until we put steel in our spine to have the same force as folks who can defecate in our Congress. We don't have to have their values, but we do have to have their commitment to something. We don't have to have their values, but you sure as hell better walk out of here knowing what you're committed to. 1 million children is a good start. But 11+ million need your help. So what I'm asking you to think about as I close is this. How do you begin to create the courage in your institutions right now to continue to hold steady on getting quality cradle-to-career supports put in place? And how do you begin to develop that policy muscle? Because you're going to have to do that work. You've been waiting too long for somebody else to pick it up and do it. You've got to do it all. And in these moments right now, sometimes our organizations have to let go of stuff that doesn't serve us well anymore. You heard Kwame say some of that. A lot of what you're doing is not built for this moment. Let it go. A lot of what you're doing isn't built for this moment. This is going to be a liberating moment or an oppressive moment. And folks have got to choose. And if you don't want to choose, do not call any meetings talking about what are we going to do about the fate of what's going to happen in 24, 22, any year. You know it's going to be awful. The data already tells you that. It's going to be awful, folks. But when you are committed, when you are building strong institutions that are worthy of this moment, we don't have to fear, we don't have to be defeated. Here's what I know, our people have never been defeated. They've never been defeated. They've never been defeated. What I'm asking you to do is to own that. I hear too many of us today being weak. I'm tired. I don't want to work hard. Work-life balance. You're going to be out of balance in this fight. I'm being dead serious, folks. You're going to be out of balance in this fight. That doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself. But you're going to be out of balance, and you better get comfortable being out of balance because your opposition is fine being out of balance. And the reality is no one's beating us. No one's jailing us for doing this work. It has never been a better time for us to stand on our ancestors' shoulders and do the work that they've called us to do. It's never been a better time. If you are innovative, if you have the right ideas, there's never been a better time to advance those ideas. I'm asking you to dream. I'm asking you to really have the courage to fight, have the courage of your convictions. And I'm asking you to have a little bit of the street smart that is necessary to know that even if you lose, you're no better, worse off than you are right now. So what? Sometimes the right work is the right work to win on, and it's the right work to fail on. Don't worry about either one of those courses. Just do the right work. I don't know how much time I'll have left in this field. It doesn't matter. All I'm going to do is go to the wall. All I'm going to do is go to the wall with whatever time I have. And the reason why I say that to you is because here's what I know. When you are living in your God-given purpose, you can take me out of this seat, but you can't stop my work. And that is what's needed from all of us, folks. People need to be able to look at you in your eye and know that your resolve is not going to change because the political winds change. The work that I'm talking about doesn't know a political season, so ain't no need of asking about what we're going to do if Republicans get in office. Who cares if they get in office? You're going to be doing the same work you were doing when Democrats were in office, because the reality is the Democrats still won't say our name. So do the work that is in front of you. Commit to it. Commit to building the institutions that will be enduring to do this work. Fight for the money that is needed to do this work. That's what's in front of us. And I'm going to tell you a little story to give a little hope to you. You know, when I took this job 4 years ago, I was struggling to figure out what to do. I was like, man, how am I going to follow Angela? And the ideas weren't coming right away. And so I said, I'm just going to stop thinking about it and let it marinate. And then this wave of creativity started coming when I let it go. And I'm clear about what the work is right now. It is for us to redesign the nation. It's for us to improve the lives of the 100 million living at 200% of poverty. And then I said, well, you know, our institution isn't strong enough to do this work yet. And I'm tired of not being paid to do this work. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start putting forth a vision that is compelling, do the technical work to deliver on results, but I'm going to start asking for the money. Now, we decided we were going to launch a $300 million campaign. I don't know how to go get $300 million. I know it's there, though. But something powerful happens when you walk in faith. We just started walking. We started walking. And a few weeks ago, one of our amazing funders gave us our first $50 million to start this journey. And I share that story with you. I share that story with you. It's not a bragging story. It's a story about when I tell you about dreaming and things like that, I'm right there with you. I'm dreaming too. I'm struggling to figure it out too. But what I know is something has changed in this space. There are people in institutions right now who see us. There are people in institutions that will hold on to our dreams because it's their dream as well. And our job is not to be small and be afraid of that dream. When I told you the worst thing that can happen if I don't raise $300 million is I still have the 15 that I raise every year. That's the worst that's going to happen. But to not go after the 300 when I need it is a dereliction of duty. To not go after it because I'm afraid. I'm afraid every damn day when I get up. I'm afraid every damn day when I get up. I'm frustrated every day with the quality of the work when I get up. It doesn't matter. I want you to continue to walk in your faith. In this room right now, we are all that we need. We are all that we need. The promise is just not a cute phrase. It's a promise to our future generations. And what I'm asking you to do is to think about that promise we make to our children and families and marry it up with the unspoken promise in the founding documents of this nation. They may not have intended it to be me, but they are for me now. You have to own this nation as well. And you have to tend to the design of this nation just as you tend to saving lives, one life at a time in communities. That's the work for our generation, folks. Dogged focus on results, dogged focus on a cradle-to-career continuum, and the audacity to begin to design an economy and a democracy that will work for everyone. That's how we'll get to the million, that's how we'll get to the 11 million, and that's how we'll get to a just and fair society that works for everyone. Thank you.